like, what's the dream of? What's the hope in? What's the doubt for? Live to no end. This is living. The life I've been given is a gift. If I'm a living, I'ma live it to death. So what's the dream of? What's the hope in? What's the doubt for? And live to no end. This is living. The life I've been given is a gift. If I'm a living, I'ma live it to death. Yeah.
All right, welcome everybody to the Living Hope Agency call. Super excited. It is October 3rd, 2022, calling in from the East Coast for the first time. Excited to be interviewing someone who's also on the East Coast, works out of the Charlotte office, and just an incredible testament to what it takes when you decide to actually just make the decision. And that's what you guys are going to hear a lot about tonight, somebody who made a decision and changed their entire business. So Dustin, Bouchard, did you make it on the call, man?
Right here, Jamie.
Hey, what's up, man? I love the
Hey,
background.
thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Yes. So Dustin, you have been in Family First Life for how long?
So I started October 2021, but I was very, very part-time, kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and kind of made the real leap to full-time after right around convention time, February of this year. And so full-time pretty much since then.
Okay, fantastic. So tell us a little bit about how you heard about Family First Life, what you were doing before this, and kind of what it was about Family First Life that you saw and you said, you know what, that's an opportunity that I want to really dig into.
Yeah, okay. So I had a buddy named Jim who actually introduced me to Mike Curry for FFL Valiant, and they met at a mutual, gathering. And I think he heard Mike talking about FFL and the opportunity, and he knew I was trying to get out of bartending because that's what I was doing. And bartending is a lot of fun, but it gets old after a long time, and I've been doing it forever. So he set up an interview with Mike, and I met Mike. Once he told me kind of how it works, the structure, the commission, the team building, I just said, all right, send me the information, sign me up.
I love it, man. And I mean, right off the bat, I remember you came in and you started selling immediately. It wasn't necessarily something where you struggled with the process of helping a client. The conversations that you and I and Mike have had is that the decision that you made was not necessarily to improve your skill. The decision that you made was you were going to increase your activity. So I'd love if you could just kind of share with everybody kind of what happened recently, because guys, if you look back at the leaderboards, Dustin's pretty consistently been like a 4 to 7 family a week guy. He's, notorious for going out and door knocking, and I'm going to make sure that we get his door knock script out of him tonight here on this call, which is going to be fantastic. But tell me what changed, because to go from 4 to 7 families a week to 30 families or so in 7 days, something changed. And I know you went on a little trip and you had an experience happen to you that kind of changed everything. And I'd love if you could share that with everybody.
Yeah, sure. So what happened was I just went to Maine in the beginning of September, and I stayed there for 3 weeks because I had to go up for a funeral for my uncle. And I wanted to visit family, and I don't get to see him a lot, but I took it like a working, vacation. So I brought all my stuff, my laptop, and I was working there, but it was very inconsistent, very distracting, being around family that I haven't seen in a long time, and, friends from my hometown. So anyway, I was there for about 3 weeks. And on the second to last night I was there, I get an email from Americo that I got a death claim. And that was my first one. Lady, super nice. It's back when I was doing in-home. I spent about 2 hours with her and her husband in the home talking to them. She was so sweet, 72 years old, barely had any medications, healthy, looked like she worked out every day, super charismatic and everything. And 4 months later, I find out she passed away. And that just made everything so real for me. Like after that, I realized, wow, this is like not just writing and submitting policies. This is like taking care of families for real. Like once somebody passes away, you're getting them a paycheck that's going to help with the extremely high expenses of a funeral, burial, cremation, and everything that comes with it. So when I got that email, it changed my whole mindset like this. And I was like, I just need to try harder. I need to work more. I need to work harder. I need to make more dials. I need to change up my lead flow. I need to diversify everything that I'm doing. And I need to make sure that these people that I talk to understand how important it is just to have it, even if it's only a little bit. I'm a strong believer in something is better than nothing.
I love it, man. So, I mean, what happened? Like, what did you actually end up doing? Because again, for you, closing deals has never been an issue, but you just decided to work. Like, what did that work schedule look like last week versus what did it look like for the last, year and a half?
Yeah. So basically how my mentality was like, first of all, I will say this. I started out pretty much doing in-homes until about mid to late June of this year. So I was doing all in-home. I liked going in-home because I like being with the people. Honestly, I like being around people. So I like in-home and everything. And it's a great way to connect with people. But what happened was I essentially decided to go full telesales because our team was kind of swinging towards that way. And anytime I'd get a sale, I felt like, okay, time to take a break, let's go get lunch. Let's talk and chat. Let's hang out. Let's call our friends or go to the store or something. But the one main thing that changed is after I get a sale, I start calling the next person right away. I finish that, wrap it up, and then I call the next person right away. The other main thing that I changed is I one call close everybody now. I don't set any appointments. That's just me personally. It's been working really well for me. With the appointments that I'm setting, I'm getting no-showed on a lot of them. So I said, well, let me switch it up. It can't hurt to try something different. So along with buying a bunch of different leads from a lot of different vendors and doing small sample sizes of a bunch of them just to try them out, I just said, you know what? I'm going to one call close. I'm gonna call them and get them to either tell me yes or no, they want to do it and they want to hear about it right then and there. I don't have time to waste,
So I'm assuming some of the calls that you're doing, a lot of them are going to be your final expense, internet type leads, people who generally are home. And I think that's something that, Mike and I talked about earlier. You got a mortgage lead, people work. Or it could be an internet lead and you got someone who's in their 20s, 30s, a lot of time they work. And in those scenarios, you just got to use your best judgment on when to set an appointment. But you're calling, I would say 70% of our internet leads are retired, disabled, not working, at home, available for the call. So I think it's really smart that you've decided to switch into that one call close for you personally. And everybody's different depending on your lead flow. So for you, talk to us just a little bit about leads, what you tried out, what were you doing previously? Were you just buying internet leads, 1 month old leads? And what have you kind of changed into, what have you tried out?
Yeah. So, I started out, like I think most of us start out buying the internet leads from the CRM. I still like those a lot. The 1 monthers are really good. I do have success with those. If you buy a lot of them, you figure you spend $1,000, you should easily be able to do 1 or 2 sales and double that money right there on those. Same with the instant and instant with beneficiaries. I've been having a lot of success with those. The ones that I really like a lot are the from the CRM still, the 1, 2, and 3 month final expense mailers, because they have handwriting on them and it's their handwriting filled out on the form. So if they tell you it wasn't them, you just take a picture and say, okay, Miss Mary, can you receive text? And then you just text it to them and then they remember that, they did fill that out and you can kind of continue on. And then I just tried a bunch of different lead vendors like Nectar, Happy Agent, Bang Bang Leads. I'm just diversifying and trying, everything that I can to see what will work and what I like. And then, when I've honestly had a good mix of everything on these past week and a half. I've had a good mix of different, sales for different leads.
I love it. Give us your open for a one call close. How do you transition into the appointment? I would love to hear that just because, most people start off setting appointments, that's the bread and butter, and setting appointments, you can be the guy who does a 30 seconds, on and off the phone. Hey, I'm coming over. You can be, me who goes 4.5 minutes, and ties it down like crazy. Or you can sell it right there on the phone. So it's powerful. It's something that more and more people are doing. And I'd love to hear the word track so more people can learn how to do exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, sure. So I'll go ring, ring. Hey, Jamie.
Yeah, this is Jamie.
Hey, Jamie, this is Dustin. I'm the local field underwriter here in York County. And I noticed that you filled out a form. It looks like you were looking for some kind of final expense coverage. And I'm an independent broker. I work with about 12 different carriers or more. And I'm just giving you a call because I was wondering if you had a little bit of time, maybe 15 minutes, so I could get you that information.
Sure. Yeah, I got a couple minutes.
Almost every time, they almost always say yes to that. When you tell them I just need 10 or 15 minutes of your time. And after that, at that point, if the call goes longer, they're already invested. They're not setting a time clock that says, 15 minutes, your time is up. So once you get them to talk, so yeah, it's as simple as that. It's just, hey, Jamie, I noticed you filled out a form for final expense coverage. and I'm a local independent broker here in the area, and I was just looking to get you that information. You have about 15 minutes for me to talk with you. They almost always say yes. So that's kind of how I get them in. And then I say, do me a favor, just go grab a pen and paper if you have one nearby. I just want to make sure I give you all of my personal information too. That way you can have records for me as well. And they usually like that, and they'll go grab pen and paper, give them my name, my phone number, my state license and national producer number. And then I really just get right into it.
What's your mentality when somebody tells you they didn't fill it out? Somebody tells you they're not interested. Hey, I don't remember filling that out. I'm not interested. What do you say?
I say, okay, well, are you not interested because you don't think that you can afford it and you've talked to another agent that might have been captive and gave you a price that you didn't like? Or do you think that you just won't qualify for it based on your medical conditions? Because I work with so many different carriers that I've gotten people, approved that have had heart attacks in the same year. So if it's either of those reasons, just give me a chance, and I can definitely try to get you into a good position with something that's a good quality that you can afford.
I love it, man, because it's a yes or a yes. Did you not like the price, or you couldn't qualify? Not, why weren't you interested?
Yeah, no, I never say why aren't you interested? Yeah.
Here's the only two reasons you're not interested. Pick one. And regardless of what you say, it's okay. I have a solution for you, that's good, man. That's fire. I love that. So let's talk just a little bit about let's talk about door knocking. So just tell everybody what happened the other day. You're having a bad day on the phones. For you, when you want to get into a better mood, you say, I want to get around people. I'm going to go door knock some people in my local area. Talk to us about what that day looked like, and then let's get into your door knock script.
Yeah. So obviously I'm loving telesales, and I'm loving this one call close strategy that I've, just picked up and realized worked really well. But it was just this past Saturday, or not this past one, sorry, the one before, about 10 days ago or so. Not even, I guess. I was dialing appointments that I had set, and either nobody was answering or I was getting hung up on. It's just one of those days where you're just not having the luck. That's going to happen. It's going to happen no matter what. And I called Brody Pompey, and he answered, and I said, hey, man, it was like noon or almost 1. And I said, hey, man, I'm done dialing today. I need to get outside. I'm going to knock on doors. I have a bunch of leads that I bought that never answered the phone for me. I'm going to knock on their door and see if they live at that address. So first door I knocked, Americo, 1200. Going back there this week actually to help their sibling. And I ended up doing like 4 policies that day, just door knocking, and it just re-energized me and got me pumped up to get going. And then the next day was Sunday. I never work on Sundays, but like I said, I was in Maine. I didn't have a lot of productivity in Maine. I fell behind. My finances were getting low, just everything, bills, life. And I said, I need to work on Sunday. I need to work today. So I called, I just started dialing. I started dialing my leads. I bought a few new ones, and people were answering. Some people would be like, can you call me later after church and stuff? And sure. But I ended up doing like 5K that day on a Sunday. So that was super cool. And then I was like, man, I'm like almost caught right back up now. Minus, I had to get out of a little bit of a chargeback hole, but that comes with the business as well. So anyway, the door knocking, I've done it forever. I've done it since day one. If I got no-showed back when I was out in the field, I would just look up another lead in my phone that was in the same city, and I just go knock on their door. And half the time I was writing like at least 3 policies, probably like 5 policies a month just off door knocks. Because, it's door knocking. So they don't expect you to be there. The chances of getting in their house, if they open the door, is not that high, but I was getting in. So once I'm in the house, I feel like I'm pretty good at, getting them covered.
So give us your famous door knock script. Cause I know that, I did a podcast a long time ago with Steve Giordano. He was the #1 producer in FFL for a long time. And people go, why do you door knock? And he goes, I'm the #1 producer. Of course I'm going to door knock. That's why I'm the #1 producer. So the fact that you just have the mentality to say, hey, I'm going to do whatever it takes to resolve these leads. I mean, I think that's important. So, you show up, what happened? Knock, knock. What's going on?
Yeah. All right. So I'll go up, I'll knock on the door. I'll already have my phone ready I take pictures of the lead card, whether it be internet leads, whatever type of lead. I'll have the picture ready on my phone. So I'll pull it up the way I normally have it real quick. So I'll knock on the door. They'll open and I'll say, "Hey, Patricia." "Yeah, that's me." "Hey, my name's Dustin. I'm the local field underwriter here in the neighborhood. I actually live right up the street from you. And I tried giving you a call a few times because I got this form that you had filled out. It looks like you were looking for some information on some final expense coverage. And I tried calling you a few times, but I couldn't get in touch with you. So I figured I'd just come introduce myself in person. If you have a quick 15 minutes to talk, I could come and give you this information right now. But if not, maybe we could schedule a better time for later this week or tomorrow." That's it. I basically, I think I disarm them a lot when I just tell them I'm just there to introduce myself, because it makes them feel more comfortable. I'm not there to sell anything to them. I'm there to help them, but I'm also there to introduce myself. And generally, the people I'm knocking on the door are in, my general area. So I really am right up the road from them. So it's not like I'm lying to them. It's like, hey, I'm basically your up the road neighbor. I'm the local guy, and I couldn't get in touch with you on the phone. I tried several times, but I want to make sure that, you get all the information that you asked for. So if you have a little bit of time, it's almost like a one call close. It's a one knock close. It's like, and if you don't mind, I'll come in for 15 minutes, and sometimes they say yes.
I mean, it's all confidence at the end of the day. And like the thing that I take from everything you're saying is there's nothing like super fancy about what you're doing. You're not doing any, you're not trying to razzle dazzle them by sounding smart. You're genuine, you're confident, you're yourself, you're truthful. You're like, hey, it's going to take 15 minutes. Let's just go ahead and get this taken care of. But you're also direct. I think that's super important as well. So I love it, man. I think it's really cool just to see what you've been able to do. Talk to us a little bit about if you were going to give yourself advice back when you first started, if you could go back and slap yourself around a little bit and tell yourself to go all in a little bit sooner, what would be the advice that you would give yourself?
Yeah, sure. So, when I first started, I was hesitant. I was nervous about buying my leads, spending that money, nervous that I wasn't going to be able to close any deals or make that money back or something, so that's a natural feeling for somebody who's never done this before. And I never did. I was a bartender. I feel like I'm pretty good at talking to people and socializing. That's something I don't have any trouble with. But at the end of the day, I would have gone back knowing what I know now and just gone a little bit more all in. Like I started part-time in October, November, December. I was taking holiday breaks. I wasn't, then you get chargebacks, and then you're just writing half the time just to try to get out of chargeback. So, that's no way to do it. Like in this industry, I feel like based on what I know so far, if you want to succeed, you really do have to go all in. If you don't go all in to some capacity, then you're not going to survive, because your funds are going to wind up depleting if you're not constantly getting new business, protecting more families, and investing into your business. Like if you want to start a grocery convenience store, you need to buy the building, or you need to pay money on a lease for the building. If you want to start a gym, you got to buy the equipment that's going to go in the gym, and you got to rent out the gym space. So any business you're going to start, you have to invest money into it. And that's the same thing with this business, is that you're investing into your business by buying leads. That's like you buying the gym equipment or the restaurant equipment, stuff that you need, or whatever business you be in. You need to invest in yourself to gain more money back. And I didn't really fully believe in myself, I guess, in that sense back then, just feeling like I didn't know what to do. But then I realized how simple it is. It's not rocket science. You're just helping people. Once you figure out based on their medical conditions and prescriptions where you can kind of get them in, it's just you're filling out an application. That's all you're doing. It's so simple and easy. And as long as you're just a nice person and you're easy to talk to, then people are going to reciprocate that. And that's another thing about my new phone script is I noticed for me, I'm just staying completely calm and relaxed. And I'm literally just staying monotone. I'm not getting too excited. I'm not getting too down. I'm not setting any crazy expectations like I'm going to get this big policy or anything. I'm just going into it, figuring out what they need, staying calm and relaxed. That makes them feel calm and relaxed, because believe it or not, they can feel your energy through the phone, just the same way they can feel it when you're in their house. So if you stay calm, cool, and collected over the phone, they can hear that in your voice. That makes them feel better about talking to you and giving you, the sensitive information that most people don't want to give you on the phone. So that's another thing I changed, is I just have been staying very calm and relaxed on the phone and just talking to them and telling them how it is and what you got to do if you really are serious about getting this coverage.
Dude, to me, what it kind of sounds like is, you had a little bit of success, and then that confidence just compounded over the course of the week. And it was like, I'm just going to do it again. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again. And you didn't let that confidence fade, which is really the secret to this business, guys. We talk about consistency in your activity, but then there's also consistency in your attitude. And it just sounds like your attitude, your mentality, the way that you're dialing, that's now created a level of consistency that now matches with the activity that you're putting in. And the people over the phone, they can feel it. They can feel like a new sense of confidence in you, and they're buying. And it's really
100%. Yeah, 100%, Jamie. You're right about that. It's all about, making people feel comfortable and not pressuring them into something that they don't want or don't want to do, but making them understand why they should do it and why they should want it, without just making them feel pressured. People don't know anything about it. You're the professional. You're the one with the insurance license. You're the one who needs to teach them about this and explain to them why it's important and why they should have it. And then if they still don't want it after you've done your best to make them know why they should have it, well, then so be it. Then it's on to the next one, and you tried your best. And at least you tried your best.
100%. There's a Hall of Fame producer, a guy named Dan Grunberg. He says, I close 100% of the people that I talk to. And he goes, because as soon as I get off the phone with someone who says no, I forget about them. So I only remember the ones that I help. I close 100% of the people that I talk to, which is, it's powerful when you think about it like that. A lot of the times we get caught up in the no's, we get caught up in the rejection. And especially when you're putting in this high level of activity, I think that's where too many people, they can't push past whatever that comfort zone level is that they have on dial day. And it seems like you broke through a new ceiling is what I'm noticing from you, because it's like you would dial for a little bit and then you would make a sale, and then you take your foot off the gas. And a lot of the times we talk about this, financial thermostat. If you guys have ever heard of the financial thermostat, let's imagine, it's set at 68 degrees. Okay. 68 degrees heats up to 72. The air conditioning kicks on, brings us back to 68, gets a little bit cold, goes down to 55. The heat kicks on, brings us back to 68. A lot of us have a financial thermostat, and you'll go out and you'll make more money than you've ever made before in a week when you compare it to your previous job. And what's going to happen? You're going to find a way to spend that money and get back to the previous position that you were in before. It happens all the time. I can't tell you how many times I've seen it happen. So we have to raise our set point. That set point is really, okay, now, the mind once expanded, it can't go back. So it's like, now, like, your mind has been expanded, Dustin. So like, how do you go back to doing what you were doing before? It's almost impossible.
Yeah, I won't lie. The other night I had a dream about writing policies. It was like, that's how much I'm thinking about it. Like, it was weird. It was really weird. Like, it was a lucid dream of writing a policy. I woke up, I was like, did I do that?
Did I close that? What was the premium?
Yeah, I woke up right before it was about to close. So I don't know what happened, but so what another thing I was going to say, and it might be helpful for some people. A lot of people get objections when it comes to getting the social and the bank information. This is what I've been doing. If you guys want to hear, I'll tell you. So when I get to that part of, let's just say we're on the Americo app and we need to get the social security number for the HIPAA authorization, that very first part where they go through the prescription check. This is how I address it. I get all their information, and the social is actually the very last thing I ask for before, because I want to send that text right after that. So how I word it when I talk to them is I say, okay, Jamie, so at this point, we're going to do a HIPAA authorization. Americo is just going to do a quick prescription check, make sure everything checks out based on what you told me. I think you should be okay. But what I'm going to need for that is your social. And I'm going to need you to repeat it to me 2 times very clearly. And then I'm going to repeat it back to you 1 time to make sure I have it correct. And then, because after I type it in, it's going to disappear. So if you can repeat that clearly 2 times, I'm going to repeat it back, and then we can move forward with the HIPAA authorization. Is that okay? Literally 9 out of 10 of them so far, like in the past 10 days, have all given it to me.
Totally. I mean, at the
end
of the day,
they haven't even been questioning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They haven't even been. I've used to get a lot of like, why do you need my social? I already explained it to them why I need it. We're doing a HIPAA authorization. They need to make, sometimes I'll throw in the, they need to make sure that it's really you, that this is not somebody trying to fraudulently pull out a policy in your name. Obviously, you're probably the only one who knows this information. So if you can just repeat it for me 2 times very clearly, and then I'm going to repeat it back to you to make sure I have it right. Okay, Jamie? And then after that, you're going to be receiving a text message with a 6-digit verification code and a link for you to enter in the last 4 for the electronic signature. And honestly, I haven't been getting like any objections, really. Like I just haven't.
It's powerful because what I hear is when you're in the home, you can be a little bit more lax. And of course, you still want to have that confidence come across when you're asking for personal information. If you're weird, people can sniff it from a mile away. I remember when I was brand new, I would be crawling in my skin when I knew I was about to have to ask for the social, the bank account info. And it's like they felt it. But when you're on the phones, we've talked about how it's just a more transactional conversation. So when I'm on the phones, personal identity, security, all of that stuff is super important. So to me, what that sounds like is it sounds like a legitimate process to protect them, and also to verify the information that you need, which it's all about increased credibility, reduce sales pressure, increase credibility, reduce sales pressure. And by telling them why you need it first, rather than just randomly, throwing a, Hail Mary out there of, hey, now I need your social. It's, well, here's the reason why I'm going to need it. It just brings every objection down ahead of time because they don't have to say, why did you need it? Because now when they say, why did you need it? You're on defense versus you're on offense the whole time when you're like, here's why I need it. Give it to me. And they give it to you.
It's not completely foolproof, but I'm saying that honestly, 9 out of every 10 has been given it to me without hesitation. And then the ones who do hesitate and ask why more questions and stuff, I just explain it to them. I just really go into a little bit more detail and explain to them why. And I say it, drag it out a little bit more. And I do the same exact thing for the bank information. Okay, Jamie, so you got approved with the prescription check really quick. That's a great sign. Most of the time when you get approved that quick with the prescription check, you're going to get approved, hopefully, but we still don't know. The last thing I need is a bank, I actually say financial institution on file for you. And just like your social, if you don't mind, I'm going to need the routing and account. Please repeat it 2 times, and then I'm going to repeat it back to you. After I enter it, it's going to go away, and we're going to move on to the next page. Okay, so whenever you're ready, if you have a blank check or anything like that, or if you just know it, I'm ready when you are. It's something like that. It's a little different every time, but improv, that's basically how I say it. So I ask them to repeat it twice, and then I tell them I'm going to repeat it back, and just to make sure I have it right, so nothing is wrong with it. And yeah, I haven't been getting any objections.
I think the number one thing that I took away from what you said there, other than the fact that you're not getting any objections when you're confident with the word track, is when you do get an objection, you just slow down. And I think that where a lot of new agents struggle is when they get an objection, they speed up. They get defensive, or their pitch and their voice changes. They get excited about, well, this is why we need it, and blah, 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 and whatever. I don't even know what new agents say anymore, because it's just, you've done it for so long that now it's like that confidence is just slow down, calm down, slowly explain the process. Why do you need my bank info? Slow down.
So the reason that we need your bank information is because no matter what agent that you go with, no matter what carrier you do this with, to submit a request for coverage, you have to put your bank on file, because the carrier needs to see that there's intent for insurability there. And if you do get approved, which we're hoping that you do, they just need a financial institution on file to withdraw the funds on the day that you requested to have the funds taken out. Now, if you don't like me personally, that's okay. If you want to go with another agent, that's okay. But they're going to make you do the exact same thing I'm making you do. So it's not for me, it's for the carrier, and they just need it to submit the request. If you really want the coverage and you want to make sure that your daughter is taken care of when you pass, then I'll just have to put the bank on file. If you don't want to do it, that's totally okay. That's your decision, but this is the part of the process. Like that's what I say. And basically at the end of the day, they just give it to me,
No, it's good, because at the end of the day, you need to, when we're asking for sensitive information like that, it's just so important to not make a big deal out of it. Hey, this is a part of the process, whether it's with me today or somebody else tomorrow. this is what you're going to have to do. And what I love about it is like, you're not fancy with it. Like fancy salespeople who can sell anything. Like if I get off a phone call with someone, I'm like, man, I just sold the crap out of that lady. Like, I don't feel good about it versus like, I helped her. Like to me, like selling somebody is I'm going to have the perfect word track to be able to get you convinced of why you need it. Sometimes people just say as simple as, we just need to submit a request for coverage to see if you qualify. We just need to submit a request for coverage to see if you qualify, but then they're not 100% transparent about if they get approved, the money's coming out of their account. And I think that people will respect you. You will have less chargebacks when you're honest with people. You're like, hey, we are checking your intent for insurability. That was huge. That's a great golden nugget, a word track that I want to use, but we're checking your intent for insurability. Hey, do you really want to protect your daughter or not? Because if you get approved, like it's going to charge you, like, because that's the whole reason you filled this out, correct? Just really
Exactly. And then you lighten the load by just making a little like joke out of it. Like, I understand if you don't like me personally, I get it. You can go do another agent, and they'll laugh about that. They'll be like, no, you're good. You're nice. You're fun, whatever, so I throw that in there at the end because I let them know. I said, I work with over a dozen different carriers. There's not one that I have that will allow you to submit a request to see if you can even be approved without the bank information. And there's no agent or other broker or anybody that you're going to go to that will tell you that's true, because it's not true. So if you don't like me personally and you just want to hang up with me because you're sick of my voice, well then, okay, that's fair. And then they'll laugh, and then they'll end up giving it to me. But that's kind of how I do the bank and the social, and just keep it casual. It's just a part of the process. Don't sound weird when you're asking for it. Don't be like, hey, can I get your social? Like, you don't want to sound like you're like weird. It's a part of the application. They have to do it. You're pulling out a policy that's going to pay your family a lot of money. If you pass away, these carriers need to know that this is really you. So that's how I kind of break it down to them. And I think they get it after I tell them that.
Any other major objections that you're getting on the phone other than social or bank? Are you getting a lot of think about it? What are some objections you might get?
Yeah. I'm glad you said that. So, I'm sure we all do. I need to think about it. That's like one of the most common ones. I need to talk to my husband, or I need to talk to my children about this before I do anything. I just need to think about it, and this is what I tell them. I say, that's totally perfect. I would think you were, not doing your research if you didn't want to think about it. And I think it's a great idea to do that. And you certainly should talk to your husband or your kids about this. But what we're doing today is just submitting a request for coverage. That's all we're doing. There's nothing that's going to be taken out of your bank today. We won't even most likely know for 24 to 48 hours if you're approved, unless it's instant, which doesn't happen all the time. And, if you want to, we can push the payment date out a week or two. That's totally fine. You don't have to pay for it today if you are approved, but at least we'll know if you're approved. So that way, when you go talk to your husband or your children, you have something to talk about. Because if you're denied, then you don't want to waste your time talking about it. And at the end of the day, we're here to try to get you approved, and you'll have another free 30 days after they take the payment to decide if you want to go up, down, or cancel it, which I will never recommend you do that, because you want to make sure your family's taken care of. But if that's your decision, that's your decision.
So when you're just reducing all sales pressure, you just, hey, I'm just here to help. I'm just here to help. I'm just here to help. Let's just get this taken care of. I love that, man. Just to kind of close this out, any just advice to somebody here who's on the edge of going all in? They've written some policies. They know how to sell insurance, but they just haven't gone all in on their activity. Like, how do you make the decision? Like, how do you have just that snap of the fingers moment where you're like, I'm just going to do this?
Okay, so for me, obviously, that death claim was big because I knew the woman. I did an in-home. I really liked her. I actually even texted with her several times over the 4 months that she was covered under the AmeriCorps policy that I got for her. I even bought her poetry book. So that really just kind of lit me up like a Christmas tree when I found out she passed away. I honestly was really, really sad. It makes the job really real. Like when you get a death claim, especially if it was an in-home and you met them and you know them and you remember them, it's really a sad thing. You feel like you lost almost like a family member in some small degree, right? So at the end of the day, for new agents that are just like wanting to go all in, you should go all in. Obviously, you should diversify your leads. Like I mentioned in the beginning, I think buying different leads from different sources, is a great thing. The CRM and Integrity Lead Center is great. There's tons of leads in there. I like the 1 month, the internet with beneficiary, the final expense mailers. I love those. Mortgage protection is great. Back to the beginning, mortgage protection are more often than not setting later in the day appointments, because most of them are younger and at work. But I mean, there's so many lead sources and vendors out there for everyone to try. So it's like, that's not an excuse. And then if you can't get in touch, or the number's out of service, or they hung up in your face, just go knock on their door. Just go knock on their door. Like, just because the phone number doesn't work doesn't mean that, if they're close to you, then go knock on the door and just say, hey, the number didn't work. I tried calling a few times. I figured I'd just come introduce myself to you in person and see if I could still get you this information. So it's just about continuing to stay as high activity as you can possibly stay. And after you do a sale, start calling next person. The next person needs the coverage too. If you get hung up on and screamed at and they tell you to F off, call the next person. They're done. All right. You call the next person. The next person's not going to tell you that. They need help. So there's like a billion people in the country. You got to be able to find some people that need the help, and as long as you dial more people every day, your odds of selling, or not selling, that word honestly makes me cringe, helping and protecting a family goes like from here to like sky's the limit, because you're just dialing as much as you can, as many people as you can. I also send text messages. I also leave voicemails. A lot of people like voicemails. They'll return it if they hear who you are. A lot of people don't like to answer numbers they don't know. So shoot them a little text, shoot them, especially, if you just bought the lead and they, so that's what I do. I leave messages. I call and call and call all day, from the minute I wake up to basically when I go to bed. And I just, obviously, I have been a lot more productive and helped a lot more families since I started that.
I love it, man. So I got a couple questions here in the chat. One, do you door knock internet leads or just mailers?
Oh, no, internet leads, honestly, mostly all internet leads. I wasn't even able to get mailers in South and North Carolina, and that's where I'm at. We're in the Charlotte office with FFL Performance and Valiant here, Mike Curry and Brody Pompey. And I wasn't even able to get mailers, like final expense mailers, unless I went up north to like Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts. That's where I was doing those. But yeah, as far as door knocking, it's pretty much all 1 month internet leads and instant leads. It's, it's always those pretty much. And then I just take the picture, show it to them. They confirm that's their information. I say, okay, perfect. I was just here to introduce myself and I want to see if I could help you out. You got 15 minutes?
Love it. Okay, we're going to kind of speed through because we're getting a bunch of questions here. Since you don't set appointments, do you circle back another time to the people who said they weren't available when you initially called?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do. I actually have, I've actually protected a lot of families on people that, like, the first time I called, they like either screamed at me, cursed me out, or hung up in my face or something. And then I just got back around to them and I was like, oh, it's 3 months later. Let's try them again. See if, they're in a happier mood. And I've actually protected a lot of families and submitted a lot of policies, getting back to old leads I bought a while ago that either didn't answer, hung up in my face. Maybe they were in a bad mood. Maybe they were at work, whatever. And yeah, I definitely recycle through my old leads for sure, 100%, especially if they never answered. If they never answered, that's still a new lead to me. Like, I never talked to them. So that if they never picked up the phone, it's either calling them again or like I said, door knocking them.
Love it. Jamie Whitney, do you purchase leads every day or still doing twice a week? What does your lead spend look like then versus now?
Yeah, so my lead spend actually does pretty much look honestly about the same. I'm just buying a lot of different leads from different sources. Some come in real time. Some are just the internet leads. Some are from Facebook or YouTube. I'm diversifying my leads, but I'm honestly spending about the same amount. Like this past week that I submitted like 21 applications, I think I spent like $600, honestly. I mean, my activity was just way higher. And I was just exhausting all my time. Like I was just using all my time. I was eating lunch, calling people. So, I mean, I was just, like not taking so many breaks like I used to take. I used to take breaks and would mosey around my house, especially if I was at home. I would just mosey around my house, or I'd get caught watching the TV for like half hour, instead of dialing. I'm sitting at home, I'm looking at ESPN, and next thing I know, an hour passed, and I'm like, oh, dang. And then I'm complaining that I'm not selling enough. Well, I'm not trying hard enough. It's about your effort. It's all about effort.
Love it. Brody wants you to tell a shortened version of a story, door knock story you had on Saturday where the daughter stopped you while you were walking away when the guy didn't answer.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Good job, Brody, on that. That was crazy. So went to a door knock on the same day that I told you guys I submitted about 4 applications that day. And I went to this guy's house that I bought. It was actually a 1-month internet lead, I believe it was. And I had bought it in the middle of August. And then I went to Maine. I tried calling him a few times, never tried to door knock him, but I tried calling him a few times, no answer. So I went to Maine. I got back September 21st or something like that. And then what happened was I ended up saying, okay, I called this guy again. This was the same day I told Brody, I'm going door knocking. I'm not having any luck on the phones. I need to get out there and just sit in the house with people and get some fresh air. So I go to this house and I knock on the door, and this lady pulls up behind me, like 50 feet diagonal at the next house across the street. And she walks behind her truck and she's just like staring at me, knocking on this guy's door. So I thought that was kind of weird. I'm like looking at her like, she's going to shoot me or something. And then I end up like walking away, right? Because she's just staring at me. So as I'm walking away, she starts walking towards me and she's like, hey, were you trying to get in touch with Jeff or so-and-so? I'm just using a name. And I said, yeah, actually his name was Jeff. And I said, yeah, I was. And she said, oh, that's my dad. He just died 2 weeks ago. And I said, what? And she's like, yeah, what were you here for? And I was like, I was actually here to show him some options for some final expense life insurance. And she's like, are you serious? Like, how'd you get the information? I said, well, I got a form that he had filled out and he was looking for it. And I tried calling him. I couldn't get in touch. And I just went to Maine for 3 weeks. So I figured I'd just come over and knock. And he literally died while I was in Maine. So there would have been no chance of me getting to him unless I would have door knocked him, like, when I first got the lead. But that was just so crazy. And she like started crying. I gave her a hug and I was like, I'm so sorry. She's like, well, I just can't believe it. And he had nothing. He had no insurance. She actually let me walk into the house with her. And there was like shrines all over the walls and flowers everywhere. And she's like, I found this thing from Aetna. Do you know what this is? And I was like, oh, I write with Aetna, so let me check it out. And it was just like a Medicare PPO thing telling them that whatever payments he had made, he'll get them back. So it wasn't an insurance policy. And she just went on to tell me how basically her and her sister are in serious turmoil now. They couldn't afford the funeral. She said the funeral home, they were so rude to her. They just send you a bill. She was like, they didn't even really care about us. Now we just are here trying to figure out how we're going to pay a funeral bill that they sent to us. And he didn't have any coverage. And it just, I don't know, it just hit me weird. And then she even said that she'd do an interview with me and talk about it, because I think people need to be aware. I think it would be a powerful thing to know, like, he needed the coverage. I didn't get in touch with him, so I didn't protect him. He ended up dying within like a month and a half of sending that lead or, filling out that form. And I just didn't get to him and I couldn't get him on the phone. And then I went to Maine and he died while I was in Maine. So that was just crazy. And yeah, I just felt really sad. And she did too. And then she said that she'd do an interview. So we'll see. Maybe I can do a little video with her, and that might be a powerful message to people who don't think they need it.
I mean, an experience like that, I mean, that's what it takes to just light the fire under you and realize, hey, you never know who that next person is that's going to die. I mean, it's a fact. I mean, there's a cliche, the only guarantees in life are death and taxes. And, we're all going to die. And how we leave our families is going to be determined on whether we had the foresight to take out a life insurance policy or any type of, policy to protect our families. So when somebody does fill out that request, guys, don't worry about the level of intent in which they filled it out. Maybe they were kind of wondering, or they were like, I'm going to buy a policy from the person who calls me or comes to my house. Don't worry about the level of intent, because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what situation that somebody has that if you don't protect, that they can end up in a really bad financial situation. That's why what we do is so important. That's why we always talk about how life insurance is one of the most honorable professions on the planet, because at the end of the day, if you do protect somebody and somebody does die, just like the family that you did protect with an American Eagle policy, guess what? Everybody at the end of their life is going to be reaching out their hands saying, give me this, you owe that. Let's take care of this to the friends and the family. And you're the only person reaching back with a check.
Yeah, unless you're financially stable when you pass away, it's going to cause your family some kind of turmoil, because they're the ones that are left with the and we use the phrase all the time, the financial burden. That's exactly what it is. It's a burden, and it makes your family get torn apart. She said her and her sister are fighting every day now. Like, their dad just died. Now they're fighting. They don't have the money, now they're taking out loans to make a monthly payment to a funeral home that didn't care about them. It's just like, it's a snowball that rolls downhill if you die with, if you die with nothing to leave and so no policy in place. So, yeah, I mean, that was super. I'm going to call her soon, actually, hopefully be able to do a video, and she'll be able to tell her side of the story. It was really crazy. It was crazy.
Well, Dustin, dude, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for being transparent. It's just so cool to see how much you've grown and transformed here just in a matter of a week. I mean, obviously, if we look back to day one, Dustin, a year and a half ago, you're completely unrecognizable to who that person is. But even like, you're unrecognizable to who you were 2 weeks ago, which is so cool. So I'm excited for you. I'm happy to be on the East Coast with you, get to spend a little bit more time with you, get a chance to pour into everybody in the East Coast. It's going to be a lot of fun. So everybody, thank you so much for joining us. We will be back next week. We may or may not be switching the time of this call to a little bit earlier. So I appreciate y'all. Everybody have an amazing night, and we will talk to you guys soon.